When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous. About the past and about the future.
Welcome again, right?
Welcome again. We're back.
Yeah.
Because it's been crazy.
Like a one-day layover?
Yeah. Well, because it's, by the way, welcome back to Draftvice.
Yes, exactly.
Draftvice. So anyway, yeah, it's been one day because it's all emergency stuff because it's been the craziest 2 days in like NFL free agency, I think, for a while. Like it's legal tampering, right? Yeah. But it's but like every deal's getting made. They're all agreeing to terms, and every once in a while they back out, right?
Yes,
we saw. I'm waiting for that one deal that's the back out deal, right? We saw it last year. I'm always worried it's going to be the Browns. It's never been the Browns. It's been the Jets a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like last year it was Anthony Barr and the Jets.
He went back to Minnesota.
Yeah, like they had agreed to terms and then he backed out. It happened even like I think a year or two before that. So I kind of scary because you think about it like, oh, you think all these deals, you think they're done, and there's almost always one where they back out. Hasn't happened yet.
Who you think's gonna back out?
I'm thinking it's a big deal. And they're going to a team that's not on the rise. Like, again, it would have to be, I don't know. At this point, the only guy I can think of backing out is going to be one of the people we talk about today.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you've noticed this. Oh, my God, all the QB dominoes just dropped.
Yeah.
Or most of them dropped. Like, it was, like last night, Mariota was the first one to fall. And then today, 3 of them fell.
Big ones fell.
Big ones fell. And then more news came out with the quarterback situations as well. First was Phillip Rivers to the Colts. Yeah. I think everybody kind of saw that coming.
We saw that coming, yeah.
We even mentioned it yesterday, I think. And it was because it makes so much sense. Like, it even made sense from looking at the Colts move where they traded for DeForest Buckner.
To put him on the D-line.
Yeah, build up a D-line. It means that you were playing for now. So you weren't drafting a QB for next year. Which also means now Jacoby Brissett's probably on the trade market as well.
Yeah. Because he got last year, got the
they
franchise tenure to him, and then now trade bait, you can say.
Well, I think what they're gonna do is I think they're gonna trade him. Like it's basically, I think his deal is currently the same as if they did franchise tag him. But split over 2 years. Okay. So it's a $15 million deal. So he's probably one of the cheapest quarterbacks. Yeah, I'm thinking 2 teams that I think can go for him. Bengals, if you're looking for a guy to, hey, we have Joe Burrow, but we don't know if we really want Joe Burrow starting right away. Or send him back to the Patriots.
Okay.
Now, you might be wondering why. Why we'd have to send him back to the Patriots. Well, hang on. Don't get too quick here.
Yeah, we're going to get to there.
You probably know, but we're getting there. Hang on.
If you don't know, we're going to get there.
But there's another domino that fell before that move.
Which is what?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Going to Carolina.
Teddy Bridge over Waters going to Carolina.
Now you might think, well, wait, don't they have a quarterback? Well, there's Cam Newton, right? Well, today they released. In fact, they went very public with it.
Yes, they did.
They initially it was like the rumors. Yeah, Carolina has granted permission to Cam Newton's people to seek a trade, and then it just kind of devolved where it was like Cam Newton's like, seek permission. I wasn't looking to leave.
Yeah.
And then
he forced me out. Yeah.
And then they followed up with a couple of statements from Marty Herney and David Tepper thanking him for his time with the organization. So basically, they're saying like, Cam, bye Cam,
bye Cam,
bye Cam.
They doubled down on that one. That was kind of like I was like, whoa, because remember I kept asking you what is Carolina going to do. We asked in private. Yeah, I think we asked in the podcast like what would Carolina do with Cam Newton, and now we know why. What's the reason you're going to do now?
Well, it's so weird because like 2 weeks ago they're saying like, and basically they've made this decision. They made this decision when they hired Matt Rule. They were going to go a different direction, and Teddy Bridgewater makes sense because he has connections with the offensive coordinator there, Joe Brady. So I'm pretty sure that's how he kind of like got pulled into it. It's like, hey, listen, like Joe Brady's like, he knows my offense. I know how to work with this guy. We know we're going to work well together. So having an OC and a QB that know that they're going to work well together, and also his deal is not that bad. It's 3 years, $60 million.
Sounds 63.
63.
Yeah, 63.
So, it sounds like a lot of money, but $21 million a year
is actually nothing for a quarterback.
Yeah, when you're looking at $34 million deals, that's, you're getting a huge discount. That whole other third of cash is a lot of money. And I don't know how much of it's actually guaranteed. That information has not been released yet.
Okay.
So that's a big deal. It's about the same they're already paying Cam. It might be a little bit more on average for the year. They're actually going to be paying him over Cam Newton. But there's also questions whether they were even going to pay Cam Newton going into this year. Like Cam Newton was less than $20 million on the deal that was left. I honestly don't know if Cam was going to go in and play on that deal because there was no guaranteed money.
No.
So it was, and you have no years after this year. Some quarterbacks are willing to do it. Some quarterbacks aren't willing to do it. If you're a quarterback who's been injured a lot and you have no money left on the deal, like, and you're on this team and you've been on this team for a long time, you're probably looking, well, especially when you're seeing all the movement going on around you, you want some kind of commitment that you're not just here to go ahead. Especially, you look at what they've been doing. They trade away Trey Turner. It seems like they're in rebuild mode. A lot of the guys.
Greg Olsen.
Yeah, let go of Greg Olsen. They got. It looks like they are in rebuild mode.
Yeah, fresh start. Well, once they let go of Ron Rivera, that was a clear tell sign for me. Okay, this organization is going to go a whole new direction, and Cam is no longer part of it. Because usually, when you have a quarterback, you go to your quarterback and say, "What do you think about this head coach? You want to keep him?" They didn't do any of that. They just said, "We're going to start from fresh." And this is the spoils of war, I can say.
Yeah, and I guess hopefully they get a pick for Cam Newton if they could find a trade partner. I think. Well, who do you think is a big trade partner? I think we might be in agreement on it, but you might have another one.
Well, for me, for trade partner, since all the dominoes fell, I think the LA Chargers is one.
Yeah,
that's one.
That's
the second one could be New England.
New England's an interesting one. I don't see. I maybe that would be amazing. Like maybe Belichick would sit there and be like, you know what? I haven't had what Cam Newton has as a quarterback. I'd like to play with this. I think I could do something with this. And not for nothing, the OC there, McDaniels, was he had the like 1/5, 1/7 version of Cam Newton when he had Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Like at least Cam Newton can throw against wind.
Exactly.
So I mean that automatically makes it better. Now he doesn't fit what they have as far as the offense goes right now. But at least that's something. Now everybody was pegging Bridgewater to the Patriots for the longest time. So
or you can go to Miami if Cam wants to.
That would be an interesting one because Miami has the money. They have a good situation there,
and they've been handing out money for everybody.
And like again, they'll be able to pull in. They'll have this guy who maybe can be a top end starter.
Exactly.
I'd be interested in that. I think the Chargers do make the most sense. The only other team I can think of is maybe the Bears.
But they already have, unless they're not confident in Mitch.
It's starting to sound like they're not all that confident in Mitch. I think it depends on the money, though, right? I think whoever's going to the Bears, it's going to be like the Ryan Tannehill situation, right? They're going to reduce the contract. They're going to give him like a $10 million deal or $8 million deal, borderline starter money. For like 8 years ago, not right now, but like basically like high-end backup money.
Like a prove-it type deal.
Yeah, like a prove-it type deal. I don't know if Cam's willing to do that, especially when you think of like the wear and tear that Cam takes on his body. He basically makes the offense.
Yeah.
The team I could see taking him on because they would have a quarterback who also matches his style is the Chargers. They have Tyrod Taylor. You would have a backup who matches what he can do. You've been building up. The Chargers, by the way, signed a right tackle in free agency, Brian Bulaga. Now they got Trey Turner, who is his former guard. You have Mike Pouncey. You got a really good offensive line there.
Mike Pouncey's over there too?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you got 3 members of that offensive line who are pretty damn good. You got to figure out the guard and the left tackle situation, but hey, this is a good draft to figure that one out, right?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, a lot of depth.
Yeah, so if you have an answer at quarterback, I would say go ahead and get your go ahead. You might be ready to, and this is a team that should be playing for now.
Yeah.
Right? They got a defense that's all together. They got Joey Bosa, and they got Melvin Ingram, and they're not Melvin Gordon anymore. He walked.
Ingram.
All the Melvins, just Melvin, and Melvin. It's just all Melvins. They could have. They were this close. They could have had that other Melvin guy, Rashawn Melvin. They would have gotten him into the room. They would have had Melvins everywhere. So, unfortunately, they didn't pull that one off. So now they got Melvin Gordon walking. They just got Ingram left. But I think this is it's a win-now time for that team. They got to get a piece in there to be quarterback. And I think they were hoping to get Brady, but they fell out of the running on that one.
Well, shoot. A lot of teams were thinking to get Brady, but they fell out of the running. Who is Austin Eckler still there, too? Or
yes,
no?
They just gave him a deal. It was $6 million a year. not bad.
Not
He's
bad.
a receiving back. It's not so you're not paying. Think about it like this: Melvin Gordon's probably like they were looking to pay Melvin Gordon around $10 million a year. So $4 million less, and you got Austin Eckler.
Okay.
You know, and his receiving capabilities out of the backfield, his ability to kind of play like almost a slot matchup role. I don't think that's all that much of a bad deal when you look at it. So that I think that's the best matchup for him. The only thing is I don't know if he fits with what Keenan Allen does, but he fits with with Mike Williams. If they can get speed on the perimeter over there, and Keenan Allen would still be productive.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw DJ Moore play pretty well. We saw Steve Smith Sr. play well with Cam Newton. So, I think it's a good team that'll.
And they have a solid tight end too. So you have,
Yeah. Oh, they have Hunter Henry. Yeah, you basically have Greg Olsen when Greg Olsen started. Wait a second, we've rebooted everybody. We've got Greg Olsen and then Christian McCaffrey. We got Austin Eckler. That's like almost like him.
I think they should try to get back to Melvin Gordon. If Cam goes there, I think they should try to go do it.
He's an interesting one to see where he's going to land. I'm eager to see what team picks him to be. I heard Dolphins were interested in him, but who knows? Dolphins been interested in everybody. They paid everybody $10 million this year, so I don't think they'll go for that one. But who knows? I think it's the big team that should go for him. Because I think they'd be willing to pay him at least the full amount of his salary this year, which isn't even that much. It's probably like on the back end of a starter deal. So take him on the last year of his deal. Hopefully he plays on it. And then see what he can do. Have him prove it if he wants to keep playing, and if not, he can say I don't want to play anymore. But that's the way I see it with Cam Newton. Bridgewater, I think this is a stopgap thing. They're kind of like resetting for Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I thought with that move too. Because shout out to him though for a guy who wrecked his knee and thought that he was gonna play again, let alone walk. And to come back.
That's why this is such an interesting deal. Is that maybe they do have their starter of the future, right? They keep him. He plays well with that offense, and they build around him. And if it doesn't work out that way, then they get a quarterback next year, and they maybe they trade down from 7 and they go ahead and accumulate picks. Clearly, they don't feel like they're going to get Tua, or they don't feel comfortable with Tua, especially after the injury. They know they're not getting Burrow because they probably called to the Bengals. And Herbert, there's a lot of questions with Herbert. So the top 3 quarterbacks, I think, are the only ones that are interesting to go ahead and try to get. And if you're not in love with Herbert, trade down, accumulate picks, try to go for a guy next year, and see what you have in Teddy Bridgewater. So now let's talk about the last domino that fell, the big domino. What's the domino that everybody's talking about?
Which is what?
Oh, the guy that you keep referencing from the New England area?
Oh, number 12?
Number 12. Yeah, well, he's going to TB. TB's going to TB.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers just picked up Tom Brady.
That's true.
For $30 million.
Yep. Well, that was the other part of the Rivers deal. Phillip Rivers was $25 million for 1 year. Brady's going to be $30 million for 1 year.
He wanted his money. He got it. He's getting with a head coach that is kind of a quarterback whisperer. And you have studs basically all around you. You have Mike Evans. You have the Howard.
O.J. Howard, Cameron Bray, Godwin.
You have Godwin. You have a lot.
The defense has been getting better and building up. You have a top 15 pick that you could spend. I think that probably they have to target offense. Everybody has to target offensive line.
Yeah.
But if there was a team that the major weakness right now is they're losing DeMar Dotson, they need a right tackle. So they didn't see anything in free agency as far as them fixing the right tackle situation. So I could see them going for like a Jedrick Wills if he falls, which has been the rumor. That would be a good pickup for them in the draft. But this is a good situation for Brady to go to. I know there's some questions. Even I had questions with how he fit in that offense. But listen, sometimes you're just taking a shot and you're saying, listen, we're going to get the best of all time on our team. And we don't have to worry about that Jameis Winston guy just
making mistakes all over the place.
And he scored 7 touchdowns for the other team last year. I'm thinking Brady can do better than that. And not only that, so this move altogether puts them about $22 million. They can clear up another 10 in cap space by releasing William Golston, and if they really want to, trading or cutting Cameron Brate. And they could probably get a pick back if they traded away or cut Cameron Brate. It depends on what the offense is they want to run, though. But I know there's some rumors they would trade OJ Howard, but I feel like they would get about another $10 million more with the other two guys. I don't think they're going to get as much if they trade or cut OJ Howard.
His numbers production wasn't like that good.
Well, also I'm just saying that he has just a lot of money on the contract. He's a first round pick. Whereas Brate was an extension. His deal's $6 million a year, so that's still decent money. So you could trade Cameron Brate to somebody who needs a tight end. Maybe a team that's collecting them now. I heard the Falcons were trading like second round picks for tight ends. Or you could trade them to the Browns. The Browns are signing tight ends for $10 million a piece.
Well, you already got Njoku and you have Hooper. What more do you want?
Just like they could run 13 personnel all the time, I guess now. They just traded for a fullback too. Janovich from Denver Broncos.
Okay.
So that's the only bit of Browns news we're going to talk about because there's nothing else that they did that was all that exciting today.
But the TB12 and Tom Brady going down to Tampa, it became interesting to me because where's Super Bowl being held this year?
Is it Vegas? Yeah, it's Vegas.
No. Tampa.
Oh, it's next year. It's Vegas.
It's Tampa this year. So what kind of story could Tom Brady make to be the first quarterback to have a home Super Bowl?
That's a big deal.
And how crazy would it be if New England made it?
Well, first, New England's got to get a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm saying, but how crazy would that be if New England ended up beating
By the way,
Tom Brady?
that's the crazy thing is what is New England going to do for quarterbacks? So we mentioned before, like now New England's probably in the market for getting a quarterback, like hardcore. There's been rumors with Andy Dalton. I don't think they're interested in Nick Foles. I heard the Bears were interested in Nick Foles and Andy Dalton. And then you mentioned before Cam Newton's an option.
Yeah.
They're maybe they trade for Derek Carr because the Raiders just went ahead and signed
Mariota.
They're going after Mariota. Dude, New England is the empire falling? Or is Bill Belichick just that, he's at
one season they didn't have Tom Brady and they went 11-5.
It's true.
Okay. And then when Tom Brady got suspended, they went 3-1, right? Or was it 4-0? 3-1.
They were 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0. So I know the hoodie knows what exactly to do. Maybe this may look as a chink in the armor. Instead of going 13-3, 12-4, they can go 11-5, 10-6. New England. It wouldn't surprise me that if I think Bill might step out the box and say, you know what, I want that guy who can run really well. I want that bulldozer. I never had one yet. I want a Superman type quarterback. He can go to Carolina and be like, yo, we want you.
And I think that would be a great thing for Cam, and I think it would be an interesting thing for Belichick. I know that people have said that was something that Belichick was interested in, was his next quarterback was going to be an athletically gifted quarterback because he just likes the idea of that kind of quarterback. You have to be sure that he's going to fit what they want to do. They're going to build around him, but when you look at what they have there, it's going to be still a lot of scheming. I know they franchise tagged Thuney. They don't have a lot of money, so I think that the trade market's going to be a big part of where they're going to get their next guy. Because I don't think they're signed. Well, everybody else is kind of signed up at this point,
except for Jameis Winston.
Except for Winston, I don't see them going for Winston.
No.
Don't.
No. Doesn't want that headache.
I could also see Winston going to the Chargers. That's where the only spot I could see Winston free agent walking to and trying to get a starting role there.
I think Winston's going to be a backup. No disrespect to him.
Winston? Honestly, I mean, he's such a perplexing quarterback, right? Pick sixes all up and down, tons of interceptions and turnovers.
He had 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards, but threw 30 picks.
Yeah, he's Ben Roethlisberger on like. I honestly, if Ben Roethlisberger played stoned, which I don't like, it's just like I don't know. It's like he's just a slightly. If Ben Roethlisberger didn't have the benefit of going to the Steelers, that's where I think he's bad because I feel like this is where Ben Roethlisberger would have been had he not been going to a good organization that would have built around him. Maybe he does go to the Steelers.
I don't see why not.
You got back-to-back rapist quarterbacks. Right? That's or at least like allegedly.
Allegedly, we don't know. Allegedly.
Well, with Roethlisberger, it's been relatively confirmed-ish And then not only that, he freaked out Stormy Daniels. Like, how do you freak out a porn star? Only guy she's ever been afraid of. When I heard that story, that was my favorite. I'm like, wow. Anyway, so yeah, I think the quarterback situation
it's a carousel right now. We don't know who's going to go anywhere.
But it's in a fun carousel. It is made.
I didn't see Tom going down to Tampa Bay. I thought Tom was going to go to like the Colts or the Chargers. That was my
Raiders.
2 spot. Or the Raiders.
But then Mariota's signing made me think that wasn't going to happen.
Wasted everything away. Or I could thought, maybe Tom might go to Chicago.
No, I didn't see that. Well, unless they were really giving up on Trubisky.
Yeah.
I felt like Tom was I thought Tom was going to go back to the Patriots. I thought that was the hardcore main line on that, and apparently he'd made the decision last night. He said, "Bye, you guys. I'm a going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now."
Now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and just we see this in sports all the time when a prominent player plays his career very well and then goes on the team and. I can't picture seeing Tom Brady in a red uniform or an orange color uniform or that,
especially the Tampa Bay uniforms. I mean, those are just ugly in general.
Thank God that they got rid of those orange creamsicle uniforms. So just to see Tom Brady in that, it's going to take me a while to get adjusted to.
It's weird to hear a Browns fan shit on another uniform, but that's literally like how bad the Bucs uniforms are.
I'm shocked. I did not see Tampa Bay in the window. It's one of those dark horse teams that came out of nowhere and snatched them up. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, I think they were always interested, and then when the reality came out, when it was, and I heard some kind of rumblings that it was because you saw all these deals with the receivers. And I'm not quite sure this is true. I think Tom probably made his decision a while ago. But when you saw these deals with the receivers, with Stephon Diggs being traded for a first rounder, and what's his name, the DeAndre Hopkins being traded for second rounder and David Johnson, and just all these pieces that are being moved around, and he's like, well, why aren't we getting anything like that?
New England. So you're talking about, or just Tampa?
Well, yeah, that's why he was leaving New England, because he's like, why don't I have a piece like that? Why don't I have a Mike Evans and a Chris Godwin? Or why don't I have a Stephon Diggs or a DeAndre Hopkins? Why can't I have it, Mr. Belichick?
And, Belichick's saying this is the Patriot way.
And I guess that, and Brady at this point is saying, listen, I want to see if I can win somewhere else. And see if a team can build around me.
Yeah, and they deserve it. They both deserve to see who can move about the next one. But the next Super Bowl, whoever wins it is going to be like the king of that moment, because now it's an arms race of, can Tom get there before Bill, or can Bill get there before Tom? I think personally that Tom won't get there before Bill. I think Bill will get there before him.
Oh, absolutely. Especially because NFC is way hard to get to the Super Bowl.
And plus you're in the NFC South with a slew of quarterbacks already down there already. From got the Saints and Breeze.
This is where I think he does have one benefit, right? He's going to the Buccaneers. The only team that's really a true contender in the NFC South outside the Buccaneers. I would never even used to call the Buccaneers a contender, and I still kind of gag in the back of my throat saying that. But it's a possibility of the Buccaneers being a contender, because you think about it, Carolina's in rebuild mode.
Yes.
So they're not really you're not thinking they're going to beat you to the playoffs. Falcons, did you see the Falcons last year? They're falling apart. They got money up the wazoo tied up, and they don't know what to do, and they're trading second round picks for first round tight ends. So I don't know. It's I don't know. I think they have a very good, if they can beat, they have a shot at the wild card, and if they think they can do better than how the Saints have been doing, I think there's a very good shot.
Well, the Saints are the team standing in their way.
That's the king of the castle. You're going into a different domain now, Brady. You're going to the breeze room.
You're going to, so that's why when I looked at
he's going to the NFC.
Yeah, and the NFC, it's every year is always somebody coming on top, and it's like varsity with the NFC, and then the JV is the AFC. No disrespect to anybody in the AFC, but you guys are the JV squad compared to the NFC.
Yeah,
because we already know who's going to win the AFC every year. The NFC, it's like gamble. You figuring out. You're guessing.
It's changing up on the AFC side. Yeah. Maybe more so if the Texans had a GM.
But don't get me upset about that, please.
not today.
I don't want to ramble about that one. That one's just disheartening. But yeah, what Tom going to the Buccaneers? Good luck to Bruce Arians. I think Bruce Arians is gonna do some wonders with that because now you have a competent quarterback. That's not gonna.
I'm excited to see Rivers in the Colts. I'm excited to see what happens with Brady in the Bucs.
I want to see what Cam does.
So, yeah, and I want to see where Cam Newton goes. That's really the big deal.
That's the one for me, Cam. Where do you go? Does he go to Chicago? Does he go to the LA Chargers? Does he go to Oakland? Who knows?
Oakland's got 3 quarterbacks.
You never know, man.
They're just filling out that. We'll just spend a ton. David's spending a lot. Let's get on to the Raiders, actually, because Raiders, again, made a lot of just been buying up like a bunch of weird contracts. Today, some more news came out. They signed Carl Nassib, formerly of the Bucs and the Browns. They signed Corey Littleton, linebacker of the Rams. That was
that one too.
The big star linebacker, and not to a big deal, shorter deal, decent amount of money, but not a lot of money, like about $12 million.
Yeah,
that's not a lot of money tied up. And we're seeing this, right? We saw it with Jack Conklin with the Browns. We're seeing it with Corey Littleton with joining up with the Raiders. They're doing these 3-year deals.
Yeah, 3 years, and it's not a lot of
3
money.
years and I'm out. 3 years and I'm out. 3 years and I'm out, and I get back on the market and be able to try to make money on myself again.
And these are young guys. They're not old guys at all.
No, Littleton will be still of prime age. Yeah. Conklin will be of prime age to go ahead and make money on these deals. So that's why they're doing it. Is they will be of prime age in 3 years to make more money again. And maybe the market shift, especially because this is the year where the new CBA is going to be going into effect, and it hasn't fully changed the cap space in the whole world of the market yet. So it makes sense for a lot of these guys to take these cheaper 3-year deals and be able to get back on the market where, say over the next 3 years, the cap rises a lot more because of the gambling revenue and the increased percentage points on the cap space. You're going to start seeing maybe a lot bigger contracts. So these guys who have been playing really well and who are big money guys are now going to get to walk back onto the market. They also went from a bunch of ex Cowboys.
Yeah, they got 3 of them.
Yeah,
Jason Witten was one.
Jason Witten. They got Malik Collins,
and they got Heath.
Yeah, Jeff Heath.
So when I saw those 3, I'm like, but you and I spoke a couple weeks ago, but isn't Jerry Jones running or helping them with their promotion on
their business side? Yeah. So maybe they have some contacts with that team to kind of get, I don't know if the business side ever touches the football side, to be honest. I don't know how involved management of marketing and those kind of aspects are of trying to increase revenue is tied to your football team, because a lot of these contracts there has nothing to do with the Cowboys, really. Like Jeff Heath is not gonna make or break a difference. In fact, actually, just a tie to one of the coaches on the roster is why I think they went after Jeff Heath. Witten's an interesting one. Some of these guys, I think it's just guy that I think a lot of them are just guys that they think hey, Gruden could hang out with this guy and talk, right? Yeah, how about that time on Monday Night Football? Yeah. Hey, Witten. How you think you do as a commentator, eh? So I don't know. I think Gruden maybe just likes to find guys he could talk to. You got to watch Nassib a couple years ago on Hard Knocks. Maybe he thought hey, you know what? That guy looks like a guy I could talk to. All right, we'll go get that Carl Nassib guy. We'll give him a decent deal. So another team that's very similar to the Oakland Raiders, right? Now very different in how they spend, but very similar in that they are both considered the cash poor teams. The Bengals.
They've been spending money left and right now this year. I don't know why.
I don't know about left and right, but they spent money on 2 big free agents as far as I know. I don't know if they spent more since we started doing this, but they signed DJ Reader and Trey Waynes. DJ Reader, formerly of the Texans, great interior defensive lineman, great nose tackle, gets a decent pass rush out of him too. Honestly, I think it's a great signing.
Well, don't you already have
Geno Atkins? But if you knew about the Bengals last year, they were horrible at stopping the run. So now you get a guy in there who can stop the run, can play all 3 downs, gets a little bit of push. You could rotate in Geno Atkins and your other defensive lineman. He's going to be an upgrade over Andrew Billings. So you got a bunch of pass rushers. You're fixing a little bit of your interior of your D line, and fixing the issues you've had against the run. I think it's a great fucking move. That's a good move. Teams, because actually it's been shown that your wins above. I think that actually like good run stopping D tackles help keep your linebackers cleaner in coverage. So like, listen, if your linebackers don't always have to read and react to the run all the time and trying to clean up your mistakes on the D line, well, now you're freeing them up for coverage, and they're not making as many mistakes, and they're not biting on play action. So there's actually some kind of like thing that makes sense to this. It affects the pass game and the run game.
So they have a sense of direction.
Yeah, like for instance, like if you know your D line is going to be great at stopping the run, right? Your linebackers are not going to bite as hard on play action. I think that is a very good. We saw this before with the Giants when the Giants had that one year where they had a great defense. They weren't necessarily. They were good. They were good in coverage. They were rushing the passer well. They were also blitzing a bit. They were doing really well. So when Spagnuolo's defense made it all the way to the playoffs, even though the offense couldn't do anything. But what it kind of shows that D-line kept all the linebackers clean.
Yeah.
We had Snacks Harrison, who's a free agent right now. I'm wondering where he lands. A lot of these, bigger.
He always gets someplace to go to. Snack Harrison.
Yeah. So you had Snack Harrison. You had the other one. They had two nose tackles on the interior.
When they had OC. Was he there around that time? And Justin Tuck.
No, it was after him. It was D tackle. He's currently on the Raiders. Good nose tackle, good run stopper. But they had both of them playing basically the interior, and they were just blocking up the run. And then not only that, you had JPP and Olivier Vernon on the edges, and both of those guys are good at stopping the run and can get a decent amount of push too. Honestly, that was like their best time as far as the defense went, and then they went ahead and switched things up too much.
Went to 3-4, which
it just didn't work for them. Just scheme-wise, none of it worked for them.
That's like for me, whenever I see teams do that, I'm like, do you know what you're going to be getting yourself into?
Yeah.
When you do a switch like that, you just keep it what it is. Don't switch up. If a team's good at 4-3, be a 4-3. Why would you want to change it to 3-4? Because it fits your personnel. Don't do that.
But usually you don't. So going back to the Bengals, right? Usually you don't see them spend on like over $20 million in guarantees. And here they did it with DJ Reader.
Yeah.
And then they went ahead and signed Trey Waynes, former Minnesota Viking. That's a good, it's an upgrade compared to having nobody there. At least now you have a good corner. So now you're gonna, and he's a solid corner. He's gonna, he's not always laterally good, but he's been better than Xavier Rhodes has been the past few years. So they might have lost Darqueze Dennard to the Jaguars. Jaguars, by the way, signed Darqueze Dennard to a $13 million 3-year deal. And they also signed Joe Schobert of the Cleveland Browns to a 5-year, $53 million deal.
Woo!
Now, I'm not thinking a lot of that's guaranteed, but I think like the idea here was, okay, we're going to give him a 5-year deal. It's going to be $53 million, and like we have a linebacker. Now, for a team that's rebuilding, it seemed like a little odd that you're going to spend assets on a linebacker, but listen, I'm not going to go ahead and complain. He's a good leader in the locker room. I'm sure the Browns are going to miss him. I'm actually shocked that was the best he was able to get. I'm shocked the Browns let him walk for that much. But, hey, listen, you know what? Jacksonville, you got a couple of good players there. Darqueze Dennard's a good slot corner. The only problem with Darqueze Dennard, though, is that they already have DJ Hayden, who played really well in the slot, too. So,
did he move Hayden to the outside?
I guess they're going to see if they can or they will. He didn't. He played almost exclusively in the slot last year. Granted, last year they had A.J. Boye and Jalen Ramsey.
And they let Ramsey trade it to...
They traded both of those guys away.
Yeah,
so they're clearly in rebuild mode. Maybe they feel like, hey, listen, we can get something out of these guys. We don't want to be an 0-16 team. We don't want to be a repeat of another two teams in the NFL. Or 0-17. I don't want to be the first 0-17 team. Right? That'd be awkward.
Winless. You don't want that.
No, so... with the Raiders, seems like they're trying to go ahead and collect as many collect as many weird contracts, some ex-Cowboys, and a lot of linebackers. They signed 2 linebackers. They commit a lot of money to linebackers. Bengals look like they're really trying to kind of look good, right? They should, they don't want to be they don't have the number 1 overall pick again. They want to look good for their new quarterback. So they went out, they signed, they franchise tagged AJ Green. They signed a nose tackle to help bolster the defense, and then they went ahead and got a good corner, solid corner, probably like one of the top 4 corners in free agency to play corner for him. So
now, it's another thing I'm looking at. What does Andy Dalton do?
Well, they're trading Andy Dalton. They got to trade Andy Dalton. You can't lose your job last year, go through all that stuff. And there's been rumors that they're trying to shop him around and try to get something for him. But they don't want him in there when you have a first-round pick. You know your job's going to be lost.
Exactly.
Even if you're going to be traded to another team that's going to be utilizing you as a bridge quarterback, it's different than a team where you were the starter for so long. He was a starter for the longest time now, since Carson Palmer left.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. They got to trade him. I think best places for him, he's the one who should either go to Chicago or the Patriots.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 best places for him.
I think the New England would probably be the best situation for him.
Well, New England would be a great situation. It would be a great combo. But honestly, like especially if he's willing to take a discount on his deal, if he's willing to, if the Bengals and the Bears are willing to work together, you're getting him out of the conference too. And then he can kind of Ryan Tannehill, Mitch Trubisky, which I don't think is going to be that hard.
No, not at all.
So,
because I look at Mitch Trubisky in that same draft. Remember, it was Mitch. You had your boy from the Chiefs, my homeboy, and you had Dak, and they passed up on that for Mitch, which I know Bears fans are still screaming right now to this day.
And speaking of, there's a couple of slot corners now, a couple more defensive backs on the market. Malcolm Jenkins, his option's not going to get picked up.
Really, for the Eagles?
For the Eagles, yeah. Nickel Roby Coleman, his option's not getting picked up. That was a $3.5 million option. Rams said no, thank you. He was probably one of the top slot corners last year. So I don't know. I don't know what the Rams are doing here, but they're letting
weird to me because like they're trying to trade around a lot because they heard they're trying to trade your boy, the running back,
Todd Gurley, and there was rumors that the Bucs are into that stuff. Man.
So I'm like, are you going to be a rebuild or are you trying to push the trend forward for the Rams? Because they spent all their assets for the next 2-3 years.
They got to make sure that they're going to be in a winning situation. They didn't re-sign Whitworth.
No.
So their O-line's still going to be a questionable thing going into the year.
And you still have that quarterback of yours, which I'm like, he's another question mark because without that play-action pass, he's kind of a dud.
Well, we'll see what happens with him. We'll see, if Sean McVay can't go ahead and spruce things up, make it a little bit better. Maybe they could figure their way out of it. Maybe they're the ones who trade for Trent Williams. Like they have a second-round pick they could probably throw away, right? They throw away all the other bigs. Why not throw away a second-rounder?
Yeah.
You need a left tackle. That's a instant age upgrade over Whitworth because Whitworth is 82, and meanwhile Trent Williams is only like 50.
Yeah.
So 50-year-old way better than an 82-year-old. This is just math, folks.
Yeah.
This is straight up math. A couple of other like quick signings that went over. We talked before about Kwiatkowski, the Bears. And you're talking about Trubisky. Bears signed Robert Quinn, formerly of the Cowboys.
Yes.
The Cowboys are going to get a lot of comp picks next year, assuming the comp pick formula doesn't change by losing all these players to all these teams.
So they're going to get a lot of 3rd and 4th round picks, you assume?
Yeah, I'm thinking they'll at least get a 3rd and a 4th, considering they lost Byron Jones for like one of the highest paid corners for a contract like that, for highest paid corner contracts. So he's going to be playing a lot of snaps next year, assuming he doesn't get injured. Robert Quinn, again, is going to probably be playing a lot for the Bears. He's going to be playing opposite of Khalil Mack.
And that's a big, big upgrade for the Bears because, Lord have mercy, they needed help on that D-line.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack can't do it all by himself. And when
he also had Akeem Hicks too, but he gets a little bit of. He's a good interior rusher, gets a little bit of push. So that's going to be and they also released Leonard Floyd.
Yeah.
So there's another pass rusher on the market, maybe like a project guy who, if you're interested, Giants. I've heard Giants were tied to him. Giants were actually interested in drafting him the year he came out, and the Bears jumped him. So they missed out on the Bears grabbing him. Giants had a couple of signings today. They signed Levine Toilolo. Not anything to write home about. Kyler Fackrell. He had a guy who Joe Judge is probably familiar with from his time in New England. And who's the other guy? Oh, Blake Martinez, formerly of the Packers.
It's
Good
a
run-stopping linebacker,
it's a
yes,
solid
but
pick. I don't see nothing wrong with it. It's not like a woohoo or a bop, but it's like in that mid to like, okay. Because they haven't
nothing what they're doing is impressing me. Nothing, but sometimes that's the okay thing. Like, listen, not spending a lot of money in free agency is not a big deal. It's actually a smart move, but I don't know. I think that worries me a little bit just because of none of the guys they've signed are even like considered like, oh, this is a good guy to go ahead and grab. Might be like for instance, the other New York team, the Jets, right? Now everybody's been complaining about. All my Jets friends were complaining to me, not you, but my buddy Steve is a big Jets fan. He's been on the podcast before, and he was texting me going like, dude, they're screwing this up. I can't believe it. And like, listen, there's still guys out there. There's Bulaga. Well, there was Bulaga, and now he's on the Chargers.
Didn't they sign
They signed a couple of interior linemen. One of them was one of their own, Alex Lewis. But they also signed Connor McGovern.
Yeah, the guy you mentioned about from the Broncos. Which I
honestly think and they were in the running for getting Graham Glasgow. And honestly, Connor McGovern was probably the better center anyway.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily tied to him at center. They might play him at guard. Depends on how the draft goes and how you feel about guys on your roster. But he's like the upgrade guy.
Yeah.
Now he's not exceptional. He probably had a lot better guys around him when he was in Denver. There's still other guys in the market. You might get some guys on some cheap deals for going further down the line. But again, good guy, good in pass protection. He was, I think, a top 10 center in grading for PFF.
All the dropbacks he had, he only let like 4 sacks from his position, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
They like 1,000 dropbacks or some ridiculous number, something crazy. So I was like, okay, I like the pick because now you have a solid center that my boy can work with, Sam Darnold, because he had that retired guy from last year.
Yeah, no, he's definitely gonna be an upgrade over Khalil, Matt Khalil, not Ryan Khalil.
Ryan Khalil, yeah.
So I think Lewis and McGovern are good, right? I like McGovern. I thought that was a good sneaky signing, solid center. Lewis, I think he's gonna be solid. I don't know how. I know a lot of Jets fans that I spoke to so far are not a huge fan of winners. I don't know if you're a fan of winners.
I have nothing against him.
All right,
He does
so
his job pretty well.
they still have they have questions at tackle. They signed Fant yesterday, or they've agreed to terms with Fant yesterday. So I still see them maybe going offensive lineman in the draft. I could also see them being the team to trade for Trent Williams. That's the team I see doing it because they're the team that's probably desperate enough to do it.
Give a third. Don't give a second. Don't give a second. Don't give a first.
What if they do this? Because they have a high second-round pick, right? What if they do what Miami did when they traded for Josh Rosen, where they had a higher second-round pick, and they traded down in the second, got a second next year, and then traded that second-round pick to the other team?
That can work.
See, that was something that I think is the way to go.
Joe Douglas got to be a smart GM to pull that off.
Yeah, because Trent Williams, apparently Washington is asking for a second-round pick and is pretty solid on the second-round pick for him. I think that's the way you get Trent Williams and not feel like you are spending the house on him. You are getting multiple assets out of trading for Trent Williams, which I think is the best way to go about it.
And Le'Veon Bell will be very happy with a solid offensive line in front of him.
And now you could say you trade, now the Washington team can go ahead and say we got a second round pick for him. Yeah. We got some assets for the guy. I'd be happy if the Browns did. Browns are really running low on cap space. But again, that's a strategy that I'm putting out there into the universe. Jets, you're in a similar situation Miami Dolphins were last year. I think that's a team that should definitely go for. Other teams should probably go for is maybe actually the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, they could.
That's a team that needs offensive linemen like crazy. So imagine being the Miami Dolphins. You get 2 first-rounders and a second-rounder, and then the following year you trade for Trent Williams for maybe like a low second-rounder.
There you go.
Folks, this is math. We're giving some strategies out there. Hopefully a GM is listening.
We're playing Madden GM mode.
That's exactly what's going on.
Not what the Texans did though.
Yo, literally anybody I know, well, not anybody I know, but at least the 2 people in this room could probably be better GMs than Bill O'Brien. So
Bill O'Brien's a fool.
Woo. Miami, right? We were talking before about Miami. They signed 2 more guys today because they can. They signed Emmanuel Ogbah. Not a big deal guy, but it was a decent deal. It was $7.5 million that's a hefty per year. It's not even just for it's 2-year deal. But that former Brown, former Chief, I think they're looking for guys that they could just bulk up the D lineman. He's kind of a similar guy to Shaq Lawson, right? Wasn't great pass rushing, but he was okay. Plays pretty well against the run. So they're getting 2 guys like that. If depending on how you're trying to run your defense, if you're because I know they play multiple. They do a lot of what they did up in New England. Yeah. You got to get Kyle Van Noy, who's going to be rushing, and you're going to be able to play a little bit of 4-3 and 3-4. You have 2 DNs. I think what they need is interior defensive line. And again, Miami still needs offensive line like crazy. And I think they'll go to the draft for that. But they might sign some guys. They did sign Eric Flowers.
You never know. But like you said, Miami has cap. They're using it wisely. They know what they're doing. So the Texans don't know what they're doing.
Quick question. Who's the favorite this year to make it to the playoffs in the AFC East?
Bills.
Bills, right? Well, guess what?
Number 1.
Bills are rolling with it like they are, man. Because they just made a couple of deals today. Even they signed 2 defensive tackles to be. They signed first off the bat. They signed former Carolina defensive tackle Vernon Butler, who again another guy, and then Quentin Jefferson of the Seahawks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, this team is trying to replace what they lost with Shaq Lawson. And probably for better deals. Yeah. And again, they're bulking up this defense. They're going for it, everybody. They know this is their time. They traded for Stephon Digity. And they have a D line now that's
Josh Allen still on his rookie deal?
Yes, Josh Allen's still on his rookie deal. So
that's the formula. When you're a rookie quarterback with a rookie deal, spend. And then if you get there, you put your hands up and you say thumbs up. Let me tell you something. If the Bills can win a Super Bowl, I'll be very happy.
McDermott's gonna get a poster of dude. He's brought them to the playoffs twice in his 3 years being there. Not for nothing, man. McDermott's already earned himself plenty of love up in the Buffalo area.
And if he can win
he's never getting fired at this point. You're never getting rid of McDermott.
No, he's stuck. You stuck with him. But if he can win it in the next couple of seasons, woo! Forget about the 0-4 Buffalo Bills. The Bills that are coming out, if they win it, oh man, they'll be legendary. Because it's been a while.
It's been a while. By the way, also former defensive tackle Jordan Phillips of the Buffalo Bills just signed a deal with Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals. So they're bulking up their defensive line too. Listen, a lot of these teams are thinking this is the time to go for it. They got these rookie contract quarterbacks, and they're buying up as much real estate as they can on player contracts. Miami's probably going to do the same thing, and Miami just has assets to blow. I think that's about. One more big news item, right? We heard a couple months ago or a month ago from the Falcons, right? They tweeted, "We are not re-signing Vic Beasley."
Yes, that was one.
Source Falcons.
Yeah.
Vic Beasley today signed a deal with the Tennessee Titans.
Strength on strength.
Right? Build up their defense. If you can get something out of them, $7.5 million deal, $9 million he can get up to in that deal. I think it's a good deal. I think it's a smart move by them because again, if he walks next year in free agency, you get a comp pick. You can just build, like you're saying, build on strength. Yeah. And
the Titans, they're not bad at all. They're really, really good.
No, he'll go great with Simmons and Landry. Dude, that defense is scary. And now they're losing. They lost their slot corner, Logan Ryan, although he might be back because he didn't sign with anybody yet, has he?
No, I haven't heard anything.
So who knows? Maybe he'll be back. Maybe he'll be with the Lions. I think that's the guy who's going to probably go to the Lions. But
Logan Ryan? Well,
except Justin Simmons already there, so they don't.
It's a New England trade. Logan Ryan was really
Justin
good.
Coleman, sorry. Yeah, Logan Ryan was good this year.
Banging points this year. So we'll see. Hopefully, I think he should go back. He flourished over there. Why not go back? I knew it would test the market a little bit, but hey. Why change the scenery?
Exactly. I think, especially where it works, right?
Yeah.
You want to be where it works. And that was most of the news of today, man. Honestly, that QB carousel was crazy.
That Tom Brady one took me for a loop. Because, early this morning, he put a statement out saying that thank you for my time. Wasn't going back to New England. And then a couple hours later, TB12 is going to TB.
2 quarterbacks who you've not seen in another uniform their entire career and who've been around for the last 15 to 20 years. are going to be on different teams with different colored uniforms. It's going to be weird, everybody. It's going to be strange.
Do you think Tom Brady made a mistake?
In the regard of this was probably not the time to be demanding a market deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But you know what? I honestly don't know. I think sometimes the devil, you get used to the devil,
Mm-hmm.
and you always wonder what if.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what if I can get someone? What if I could do something with somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
That would make me even better, right? What if I go to a team that's a contender? Then I could be a contender. I could prove that I am the best. And honestly, him and Belichick probably both think the same idea, right?
Yeah, they clearly do.
So
I thought that Tom should have went to the Chargers.
Yeah, that was a good other.
The number one or the Colts.
The reason why I definitely like the Colts to him
because you have an O-line that doesn't keep you upright. You have weapons around you. You have a defense that's solid. What more can you ask for? Just be a competent quarterback, and they're not gonna beg you to stretch the field.
Well, I'm sure they'll adjust the offense to do what he wants to do.
Now with Rivers, I like Phil Rivers, but it's like, bro, you gamble way too much for me. Phillip Rivers, you take too many big chances.
Well, he's never had an O-line. Like, keep in mind, I think he had 1 year where he had a decent O-line.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a year or two. It was the year they made it to the playoffs. So, honestly, I want to see Phillip Rivers with a good O-line and some decent defense.
Yeah.
So,
and now you have it.
And to see if he hasn't fully dropped off yet. We'll see what happens with him. There's still a lot of good players on the market.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of shoes that have to drop. It's just going to be a pile of raining shoes. I can't wait to see the fantasy implications from all this. I got to do a future fantasy episode soon too, because I haven't talked fantasy in a while, and I think this is where we got to start discussing what's going to happen,
especially with the draft coming around the corner. Soon, because we don't know. Like I said,
also how this affects the draft. You have different. Now you have three teams that don't have first round picks, right? How many teams? Was it the San Francisco now has an extra first round pick, and they moved up from the Colts. The Bills no longer have a first-round pick.
You let that go.
So, yeah, you have all these first-round picks getting thrown around. That's going to really that's going to change so much in this draft. Because also it changed the QB market, right?
Everything shifted.
In the draft, because, outside of, who's going to trade up to get a quarterback now, right? Because it's clearly not the Colts, and the Colts are, the big mid-range team to go up and trade up and draft a guy. Not really a big deal now.
No.
So who's left? All right. Well, especially now with them not being able to go see some of these players and get some of the tests done and everything with coronavirus, there's a lot of questions as to, is Tua going to drop further, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're not able to see him throw. You're not seeing you're not going to get to physically see Tua with, and see him go through a workout before the draft. I think that maybe makes him fall in the draft. Unless some team's just you know what? Nut up or shut up. Let's go take him. And that's going to be it. I think Burrow, I don't think has as much of an issue because he doesn't have the health risk.
No.
And I'm pretty sure the Bengals have done plenty of homework on Burrow already.
Yes.
There's
that Tua. That Tua
is the big one. And then some of the other guys who you sometimes want to get to know them and a lot of the guys with the personality red flags who maybe didn't do well in their interviews are probably going to have, or guys who didn't do well. The guy will usually give the pro day to be your makeup test, right? You didn't do well at the combine or you weren't ready for the combine. Well, like T. Higgs, right? T. Higgins, he didn't run that great at his pro day either, but he didn't run at the combine. There's a lot of guys who didn't run at the combine who were planning to run at their pro day, and they canceled all the pro days. It's going to be an interesting year for the draft.
You better look at the tape.
Woo. It might be a good thing, right? That might force teams to not entirely rely on. But also, there's a benefit of getting to be around these people, the pro days and the workouts. There is a benefit. You get to meet these people. You get to be around them. You get to look them in the eye. Sometimes look them at the shoulder. Look at the chin. If it's Darren Sproles, you're looking at the top of their head. Yeah, or Tariq Cohen. So there's a lot of opportunity. And the teams that didn't spend a lot of time at the Senior Bowl or didn't use their time wisely are going to miss out on maybe some personality quirks that they might not have known about. It's going to be an interesting year. There's going to be a lot of misses because of things that you probably could have caught in the draft process that you're not going to catch now. It's also a question of, are you going to get to do the medical rechecks even? Because usually that's what happens in April before the draft, and they're keeping the date for the draft.
So the draft date hasn't changed.
Draft date hasn't changed. They're getting rid of the ceremony and all the rigmarole around it, but they're still doing the draft because they all got to know. They're pushing back OTAs because of Corona. I got to tell you, it's going to be an interesting year for the draft. I'm excited for it, though, still. But you're going to not have as many. You're not going to be able to tell as easily as who's into who, right? Because you're not going to be able to track the trips. You're not going to be able to track who's meeting with who's going to the pro days. It's gonna be a weird year, everybody. Hopefully, football still happens.
Yeah. Yes, please, let's do it again.
Yes. So anyway, dude, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
I appreciate it again. I
begged him for this emergency podcast because I was like, "Oh, Tom Brady's
it's
got
crazy, dude. It's been crazy 2 days, man.
You cannot do it. You have to do it now."
Woo.
Now the next wave, we'll see where Cam goes. That's the one I'm waiting to see. Wherever Cam Newton goes, then we're gonna come back on because we gotta talk about it. Because he kind of got shoved out the back door, but still on the team. That's the weirdest thing ever.
Well, also tomorrow's the real first day of free agency. When this airs, everybody, it'll be the first real day of free agency. Technically, we'll see all the deals come up in the Twitterverse, where we'll see all the confirmations, right? Like when when your friends were Catholics and they got their confirmation, they get the confirmation Twitter remark of like, "Hey, we've signed Jack Conklin and Tyler Higbee and I don't know, Anna Kendricks. She's still in the football world. I don't know." But again, like tomorrow we'll get the confirmation, or today, and there might be even more news. We're gonna hear even more from players and teams and agents, and it's gonna keep rolling out. It's gonna be fun.
So I want to play a little game with you before we get off the air. I'm gonna shout a division, and I want you to pick the winner and losers.
Gotcha.
Okay, AFC East.
Bills is gonna be the winner. Last place team. Unfortunately, I'm gonna say the Jets this year.
Yeah, I figured that. AFC North.
Although I wouldn't put it against if the Patriots, if Bill Belichick's hubris gets to him.
Really? But that defense he has locked in like that?
You never know. It's for another day. There's plenty of months to figure this one out. Okay. We'll get that. But I'm saying the Jets for right now. I'm gonna be safe.
AFC North.
Win it.
I'm not pulling.
I know because I wanna.
I know.
I want to say the Browns.
I know you want to say it, but you get with your mind first.
But looking at the moves that they made, the Ravens are, I think,
the clear-cut winners.
I think they're the clear-cut favorites.
And then the loser?
I think still the Bengals.
Okay.
Sorry, Bengals fans. The following year.
AFC South?
Winner of the AFC South. Colts.
Really? Loser?
Jacksonville.
Okay, we agree with that one. AFC West?
Oh, because I could have also picked the Titans. I still go with the Colts. Are you gonna get to say one of these?
Yeah, I'll say it. AFC West.
AFC West. I'm thinking. Well, who were yours to the other two that we've done?
Well, we did the North, AFC East,
North and East. So what were yours for those two?
North, South, and I went for the West.
So for the West, I think for me. So we don't have clarification on the Chargers situation. I think it's going to be Kansas City who wins. The worst one's going to be the real question mark, and that could be any of the other three. It could be an up or down situation. I don't think the Oakland Raiders are going to be the worst. So I'm leaning probably between Chargers and Broncos. I'm going to go with Chargers only because we don't know what the quarterback situation is.
Okay.
So,
NFC East?
Eagles again. But Cowboys it could be either Eagles or Cowboys. I think it's going to be... Oh, that's a rough one between the losers of those two. Shoot, I don't know that, man. It's going to be rough between Washington and New York. Because I'm thinking going. I don't want to bet against Joe Judge, which is weird. I kind of like the QB situation. I like the defensive situation in Washington better, but I think I'm going to go with Washington. I think I'm going to bet against Ron Rivera here, only because I'm not quite sure their quarterback situation. Dwayne Haskins played better at the end of the year. I love Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
I love Terry McLaurin.
He's my fantasy hero.
I love you, Terry McLaurin. This got a little weird. Darius Geis, I love Darius Geis too. He's one of my favorites. But I think I'm still going to go. There's just so much change up there. And, again, you're not really entirely sure about their quarterback situation. There's even questions they're going to take Tua this year. So I'm thinking Washington still. I think they got the right head coach. It's just, I think it's going to be a weird race over there. What about you? NFC North.
Oh, NFC North?
NFC North.
Packers. Seems like Aaron Rodgers owns that division. The losers. I want to see the Bears.
I honestly was kind of feeling the same way.
The Bears with that one.
Although it could easily be the Lions again.
Yeah, it could be the Lions too.
I forgot about I just feel better about the quarterback getting the Lions.
Because Matt Stafford's there. He won't have a bad back like he had this year.
But I 100% agree it's probably the Packers win it, especially with all the falling apart of the Vikings that have gone on so far.
Yeah, exactly. They lost half their team. NFC South.
Saints are the winners. And I think we kind of went over this in the discussion, but Carolina last.
Okay. Let's see.
Potential Falcons stealing that last place.
NFC West?
NFC West.
Because this is hard. That's hard. I'm sorry. I think, to me, the NFC West is almost like you're gambling. Any one of those can be the worst, and any one of those can be the best.
I still think
the Seahawks probably
Seahawks is the easiest one to say in the top two.
Yeah,
and I agree. 49ers probably up there. And again, it was close this year. I'm probably going to lean Seahawks as of this moment because
as a favorite.
Yeah, as my favorite.
And then the loser.
As a loser will be. I think Rams take another step back.
But they did finish 9-7 last year.
Yeah, but they're still losing pieces. They might lose Whitworth. The offensive line's going to be even worse. I'm not entirely sold of what they've been doing team building wise. So I think it's a very possibility that the Rams lose out to. Keep in mind, look at what Arizona's doing now.
Yeah.
So I kind of like what Arizona's been doing. I'm a big fan of what Arizona's been doing.
You got DeAndre Hopkins, man. What more can you ask for?
There you go.
And you got Fitz over there still.
You got Kenyon Drake, superhero Kenyon Drake.
And Christian Kirk. So you got Christian Kirk's going to be like wide open all the time because teams are going to try to focus on D-Hop. And D-Hop is still going to get the ball anyway. You know what's so funny? Because, I keep bringing the Texas up in situation. There was a coach that went up to DeAndre Hopkins and said, like, you're the best receiver in the league. And he was like, yeah, I know this.
That's confidence for you.
And then there was another coach that they said that the Colts, when they played against the Texans, they knew the ball was going to D-Hop. Double coverage on D-Hop. And D-Hop still got the ball and scored. Like I said, he was the deodorant maker. He was deodorant for the Texans, and now...
Well, we don't want to get you on that rant again. I'm sorry, man.
It's over. I'm sorry.
But thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Listen, if you want to follow the podcast, you can follow it at Draftvice on Twitter, at Draftvice_football on Instagram. You can follow Kev here at...
DJ Intence, DJINTENCE. And you can follow the Q&A show with DJ Intence. I will be uploading an episode later on tonight. Speaking of all the crazy things going on with the coronavirus and just many other things other than football. So I might touch a little bit on football too. Who knows? Thanks for having me again, Walt.
Oh, thanks for coming on, man. I love having you on, man.
Yeah, man.
As many times as I can. And you can follow me at Brojo Death Punch. That's BROJO. Death, like probably what people are wishing upon Bill O'Brien right now. And punch.
How they want to punch him in the face.
Yes, that's how they want to kill him.
Peace.
And follow, subscribe.
Please subscribe.
And leave comments and leave
rate.
A review. Rate it, leave a review, share it.
Yes, please. I'm going to take an episode that yesterday that we did. I'm going to put in my page, my little rant. I think people are going to laugh about that.
Oh, yeah.
Peace.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous about the past and about the future.